Hello, adventurers, and welcome back to the Legend of Kelamentura recap series. This time we are recapping Session 27 Final Blows, Friends and Foes. So, this is, in fact, the third rest session in a row, still on the Harvest Festival with the Iceborne, just to let you guys know that's how long this has been going on for. Um, so, let's get into it. Picking up from last time we had a lunch for the first half of the session, kind of rubbing shoulders with the high and mighty, with the nobles, if you will, the upper echelons of society, and then we got into in the latter half of the session into what was like a wrestling fighting type showboating of the latter half of the festival. This is the final round of combat. So once again, I'm going to kind of do a play-by-play type thing of that. Final round kicked off. Ariadne versus Dashuk. Ariadne, still in full astral self form, absolutely beat the shit out of Dashuk. Massive hammer blows, all 4 attacks landing. We did some reworking with her pressure point combat system, and that came into play, which, starting to do some serious damage. Just debilitating the opponent and everything else. It's do some really nasty shit. Gorilla was up next, who's still at this point is prone over one of the hill giants. Deliver the final 2 hammer blows to one of the hill giants, Granite, then whirled around and bang in the chest, full on King Kong style, bellowed a challenge to Rock. Duchess kind of stepped forward next, and casting her eye around her friends, decided it might be a good time to do some mass healing at this point. Everybody but Achilles, because the last time she tried to heal Achilles in the middle of a duel, she got the eyes of death, so healed everybody else for, I think it was like 20 something hit in the mid 20s of points. A very decent heal from Duchess. All of these D names. Also in her turn, she had a look around the crowd just to get a feel for the crowd, and doing so, she rolled a really, really good perception check. I can't remember what the total was, but it was a damn good perception check. And she noticed that there are a number of people in the crowd kind of watching the fight, which isn't uncommon, but she spotted people who are watching very, very intently, like studying the various members of the Scallywags, like taking mental notes. Oh, okay, so took a note of that and noticed they were all wearing like Republican of Amberino fashion. I was like, noted. That was her turn in combat. The Duke was up next, and the Crimson Monk finally warmed up, i.e., the Dungeon Master rolled above a fucking 10. We all know that pain. Landed 4 absolutely vicious blows. I actually forgot. I remembered after the fact, literally writing the quest log, like, oh fuck, she has bonuses. She has the extra things she does when she attacks. I was like, crap. But I'll remember that for next time. Landed all 4 blows. Landed action, fucking everything. Flurry of blows, the whole 9 yards. And as part of her Crimson Monk stuff, Ariadne actually took some psychic damage. One of the blows landed. She had Ariadne this flash of like a memory, like a memory transfer almost, of like a younger Dashuk, shivering on the side of a frozen peak, punching a rock wall, kind of like those like punching dummies, like that, but side of a mountain, frozen. So took psychic damage from that. Titus was up next. He reverted back to his normal turtle self and moseyed on over to Bjorn's fight. Kind of take the help action, he says. Sit there and shout advice to his friend. Damien was up next. He used a mass healing word on Kyron Dashuk. And, well, Creve was knocked the fuck out by Titus previously, so he got a little extra bump from that. So, Damien keeping the fight going a little bit. And yet again, the DM curse continues with Kyron. I could not roll for shit. So nothing landed from the Blood Hunter, unfortunately. Kind of accepted his fate. And Bjorn said to Bjorn, okay, let's let's end this. Let's put in a bit of a show for the end of this. Okay, you want to take me out? Fine, let's put on a show for the crowd. Even with Titus's help, didn't go well. It just not, Bjorn did not have a good day in the office for his combat. Yeah, so that kind of sucked. But these things happen. The D20s don't always roll well. So literally just hammer blows completely missed or being deflected with the scimitars. Achilles went next. He uses his keen aim bonus action, steady aim bonus action, and one heavy hit on Doyle. Did a good chunk of damage, seriously heavy hit with that, steady aim that gives him advantage on the strike. He didn't crit, thankfully, as a dungeon master, but he didn't crit, but he did a heavy chunk of damage. Didn't quite take him down. And the kind of the two of them locked in this like bind almost of a duel. And Achilles says, "Oh, I'm outmatched, aren't I?" And Doyle says, maybe Master Achilles, but I've rather enjoyed this bat. And then try to bring his cane to bear. And during the attack, the cane appeared to be going wide. It wasn't going to hit. And then some force pushed it into the point where, oh shit, this is actually going to hit. Achilles was able to use a reaction and deflect it. So the blow went wide. Very well, Master Achilles. That's a neat trick, but here's one more for mine. For casting the spell. Achilles did make a save, but still took 30 plus points of psychic damage. Yeah, that's a nasty. That was Doyle is some nasty spells. I love Doyle. He's a fun NPC. He's a fun NPC to play. But I digress. So Achilles is unconscious. Clerics kind of descend and bring him back up. Low went next, still facing off against the two cloud giants. Using his two attacks, one attack on Uma, one of the hill cloud giants, knocked them unconscious, turned around to the other one who had been unscathed, did another attack, and yeah, bing, bing, knocked one unconscious, drew first blood on the other, and getting ready to carry on the fight at this point. Rock then took exacted his revenge for Gorilla beating his friend up. And I can't quite remember. I didn't actually get the hit points from Lorilla. She couldn't join, the PC couldn't join us. So I kind of guessed that the 50-something points of damage she took, given that this is around 4th round of this, so like, yeah, that probably knocks her out of the giant ape form, I guessed. So back into Lorilla form. That was the end of the hill giants. Oh, excuse me. And the final violence of the bout went to Ariadne, who, again, still using the arms astral self, landed even more heavy hammer blows, kind of cracked, and with one vicious blow, slammed Dashuk across the temple, and just absolutely just sent the Owlin monk reeling. Again, pressure point combat. At the end of that round, we wrapped combat up because we could have kept going, but I didn't want to just have another comp. We could have probably gone the entire session just wrapping the combat up, but like, there's a hill giant near enough. There's a cloud giant near enough full strength. There's a hill giant. I thought, you know what? We'll just wrap it up. Let's just get the story going. So, combat came to an end. The combatants all shook hands, had a bit of a chat afterwards. Achilles was brought back up, and him and Doyle had like a friendly chat of, well, I must say I rather enjoyed myself, Master Achilles. It's been a while since I've had a chance to use my skills in a duel. I thank you for the opportunity. And Achilles responded in kind that man loves a duel. He really enjoyed himself. Dashuk, very rattled by the fight. So clearly I underestimated the Yanvari monks. I need to train a bit more. So hopefully if we fight again, I'll give a better show of myself, but we shall see. Scallybags all reconvened at this point, and Duchess pointed out to the party members the individuals in the crowd who'd been watching them in the fight. pointed them all out, and they kind of noticed that they were all congregating around Jeremiah Doyle. He hadn't seen speaking to them. And they went, huh, okie dokie. Excuse me. And around this point, the party noticed a small forest gnome was kind of over towards the hill giants. Lorilla was hanging with the hill giants, kind of oh no, I'm terribly. I was gonna try to do a New Zealand accent there, but I'm gonna bail on that completely. Lorella was speaking to the hill giants, and oh no, sorry, I was just a fight, and you tended to their wounds and whatever else, and just being Lorella going, no, it was just a bit of fun. Sorry guys, it was all well and good. And they noticed there was a hill, this small tiny forest gnome was over, paying a lot of attention to the hill giants. Made a bit of an awkward first impression of the party by asking if he could own the giants. So the choice of language kind of, who the fuck are you type reaction with the party. But enters Sausage Siltweaver. There's a new player for the party. There's a wasp that just appeared in my room. Oh god. Where'd you go? Anywho, I'm going to deal with this wasp, BRB. Wasp isn't dealt with. So yes, it's a new PC for the campaign. Kind of that introduction, and then in typical D&D fashion, the party all decided, okay. Well, Titus said, Titus said to the party that he wanted to, give me a drink, and Titus says if something wants to speak to the party about. So they all went, oh, okay, fair enough. They all headed to the last hearth, had a very well-deserved pint and a short rest, to recover from the bout. During which time Titus, spoke to the party and said he'd been doing a lot of thinking, and kind of thought that felt his time with the party was coming to an end, and he thought that he heard about his old commander Jackson Blackwater being ill. He decided his time with the Scallybags was over, and he could he could head off back down south, go check out his old commanding office, see what he could do there, and just kind of a general farewell with the rest of the party. And gave out left parting gifts with the various members of the Scallybags. To Achilles, he gave his coin purse with an amount of gold that I can't remember off the top of my head, with instructions that it was to be given to the orphanage that Achilles was from. Achilles gladly accepted it and says, I will make sure that they have everything they could wish for. Thank you so much, Titus. This is incredibly generous. I'd already gave Ariadne the Wand of Pyrotechnics earlier in the same day, but then, said that he was glad to see that there was, someone else in the party who was a fan of pugilism, and, you carry on, you take my spirit with you type thing. Big hug shared there. To the paladins, Bjorn and Lo, he offered up the helm that he had been working on for the last several days. The helm of cold breathing. Kind of offered to the two of them. Bjorn took it. And in return for this, Bjorn kind of took his religious holy paladin symbol, imbued it with his lay on hands pool, and says, give that to your, you take that with you and give it to your old CEO. Hopefully it helps. And to Duchess, there's a magical item that I'd given the party around Christmas time. It was a shard of Nick Klaus's sled. It's a little magic item the party have. So Titus gave his Duchess as a, you've patched me up plenty of times. So yeah, here's my thing. You can probably put it to good use. And then to the entire party, he left his herbalism kit and Titus's famous tea recipe, which was water plus leaf plus heat equals tea. So left that to the party, said his goodbyes, and did his turtle walk off into the sunset. While the party was still raging all around, leaving the rest of the Scallybags emotionally scarred and damaged by this incredibly fond and emotional farewell from their massive and terrifying turtle friend. But almost as soon as Titus left the tavern and trudged off into the sunset through the crowd, the party were reeling from the emotional damage that it just sustained. They heard some musical notes from just outside the door of the tavern, and Achilles shouted out, going, "For God's sake, we're having a moment here, shut up!" And in walked this very, very well-dressed, red-skinned tiefling with the legs of a satyr, carrying this very well-made ukulele, and who introduced himself as Baron Bartholomew Aloysius de Guzman Ulysses Yarrow. This is Titus's piece, the Titus's player's new character. So the player isn't leaving the campaign, but he wanted a new PC. So this is Baron Yarrow, otherwise known as the Red Baron. Joining the party, announcing the presence, playing the notes. Once he spotted the Scallybags, or the Wally Skags as he called them, revealed to the party that he's been a fan of their work. And has wrote a song about the fall of Udasil in Steelborough. Made him quite a bit of coin. And he heard about them being up north and came to, see what's what, see if he could help out or write some more songs and, record the journey as accurately as possible, write some good songs about them. So that was exit Titus and enter the Red Baron. So yeah, emotional blow for the party, and they're sort of sussing out the new members. And it's around this time that Achilles' contact, the Finger of the Avant, kind of came up to the door of the tavern, walked in a little bit, looked around, spied the party in the corner, left again, and reappeared behind the table, having the DM rolled a natural 20 on a stealth check for 30-something total. Snuck into the back and came up behind the party and said that while they had been doing the fighting, while the tournament had been going on, he had gone down to the docks, snuck onto Doyle's ship, the Brass Bell, and had a look around to see if he could find anything about his previous tip that linked Doyle to Port Mur. He said that he had found traces of Sood in the lower crew decks. None have said they're the ones smuggling, but enough to keep an eye on them, because previously Achilles had sought out the Finger of the Avant because they had learned that there was some sort of Sood smuggling operation going on in Iceborne. So he had found some traces of it, but someone's using it, but that's not enough to say they're smuggling. Moving up to the main deck, headed towards the Great Cabin at the rear of the ship. While entering the Great Cabin, which he was able to do successfully, he said he found an arcane doorway on the main deck next to the entrance of the Great Cabin. He says, "That's beyond my skill set. I didn't touch it, but it's there." Got into the Great Cabin. Everything was all well and good. An initial sweep of the room, wide sweep, didn't reveal anything, apart from just some ledgers and general communications with various commodores and other businesses around the world. But then kind of focusing on the desk and the wood burner, he found two items of interest. In this small log burning stove, there were the charred remains of a letter written in code, which the party, those who've been in Brewstock, recognize the code and the ciphers. They've seen this cipher before. He then produced, the Finger then produced, said that he found a small hidden compartment in Doyle's desk and produced a small leather-bound codebook, which, flicking through, you can easily say, that's the codebook that's used to decipher the letter. So, did that, and the Finger said that what he had done, he'd been able to take some time himself, and said he had found mentions of the dragon turtle within the letter, and something around having a man on board. So already that's put their hooks into the party to go, oh shit, there could be something here. Kind of then sitting going, okay, well, we have this letter. It's going to take a good chunk of time. It's going to take some time to sit and decode this. And sitting around thinking, discussing what to do, Achilles has the idea, the thought that, well, you were on the ship, you found the letter in the code book. We could be sitting here decoding. What if Doyle leaves? So Achilles and Lowe say, okay, we're going to head out, keep an eye on Doyle, and try to stop him from leaving. Keep him around in case you guys find anything. And the party, okay, that's a very good idea, actually, because it's all well and good us sitting here and decoding this, but if Doyle leaves, what use is it? So Achilles and Lowe head outside, leave the tavern, walk around the side of the stage, and they do in fact see the Thrains, Desmond, Conrad, and Colette, kind of standing off in front of the stage. Desmond is kind of holding an impromptu court session for the locals, kind of the problems he's seeing what he can do about it. Conrad, Colette are standing off to one side, the far side, from where the Scallybags walked up to. And they're having a conversation with Drevis von Schmidt and Jeremiah Doyle. So they kind of see this group, and then they see somebody, someone who's wearing similar clothing to what Dutch just pointed out, see somebody come around the corner, and with their back to them, speak to Doyle. Don't see what was said, but Doyle doesn't seem to react. But Doyle kind of listens to what the person says, gives a nod, looks at them, gives a nod, and then looks up and clocks Achilles and Lowe. I think at which point Achilles went, "Oh, I think the time had just started." So we kind of jump back and forth between the two parties, two groups. First up, Lowe pulls out his daggers and puts on a small show with his daggers, like his little juggling act with daggers and dancing lights, and gets a crowd of small kids to come over to him. The kids are absolutely raptured by this display, as they would be, and asks if the kids would like to learn a magic trick. They all like, yeah, of course we want to learn magic. He says, Doyle over there, he points to Doyle and says, that guy over there has a very special coin on him. The first person to go over to him and bring him the coin, I'll teach a magic trick. And he uses, I can't remember he uses like shape water or something like that to produce an icy quarterstaff. Kids' eyes go wide and they go over mob Doyle. And jumping on this, Achilles gets to the crowd and goes over to the man Doyle's speaking with. He tries to have a bit of a chat, a bit of a conversation. Oh, well, mate, how's your day going? And the person isn't blowing Achilles off, but has no interest in having a conversation. Just kind of hovering, waiting for orders almost. And is annoyed by Achilles' presence. Oh, what the hell? Having this slightly brusque, annoyed conversation, Achilles says, oh, I've just had a thought. I'm going to distract him. I'm going to brush his shoulder off, try to pick something. So the crew member is thoroughly distracted by Achilles brushing his shoulder. What the fuck are you doing, man? Achilles then puts his hand under the coat, rolls a good sleight of hand check, and does find a lapel pin. Takes it. And then we jump back to the team tavern. So Bjorn, Duchess, and the Finger are the ones focusing. Ariadne is off at this point. And the Baron's kind of just sitting watching them work, in his head composing a song about what's going on. But the ones examining the letter and the codes decipher a few bits of information. The Dragon Turtle is a loose end. Aid the Defiant in their goals. Undying Prince. And Red Drake. I think there might have been a check on Undying Prince at that point. That the Undying Prince was a very powerful lich who aided the Defiant during the Scourge. I think there was a check around that. There was a check done at some point on Undying Prince, so that's what they kind of did themselves from their own history checks. And at that point, Barrow, the Red Baron, Yarrow, was chatting to Bjorn and says, oh, by the way, this hammer of yours, where did you find it? And he says, oh, I found it in a knoll cave. Why you ask? And he says, well, it looks an awful lot like Barrock's Gavel, which is a scourge relic that I've read about. I have a keen interest in these things, my infernal lineage and what have you. So if a keen interest in things like that, and I'm almost certain that that's Barrock's Gavel. I've read about it a lot. I thought it was a legend, but I'm seeing it in front of me. Bjorn kind of repeated the name Barock's gavel, and noted that whenever Yarrow said the name Barock, the hammer like reacted. It was what the fuck. But when Bjorn said it, the hammer like pulsed with energy. Unlocked power within the hammer by saying the name Barock. So the player now has the upgraded sheet for the weapon. He's very pleased with it. So that's what happened there. And where are we next? Yeah, then jump back out to the tavern outside. Lowe kind of went over and joined in the conversation at this point. Used calm emotions on the kids, who lost interest and dispersed. And the two of them are then go over, just chatting away to Doyle, engaging him in polite conversation, and saying, "Oh, we must have dinner. We must have a drink before you leave. Oh, please, if you're going to leave, let us know." And oh, we really must have a dinner and a drink. And Doyle's like, "Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, that's." I'm not doing justice to what was done at the time, but was like, "Yeah, sounds good. No, if I'll definitely look these up." And the two party members kind of politely have us end the conversation, and Achilles kind of grabs Lowe, leads him away into an alleyway, opens the hand, looks down at the lapel pin, and it's not what he thought he was going to get. He was looking for a Defiant lapel pin. This is a large golden C. I said large is a golden C. You know, fuck. What does this mean? They both racked their brains, but neither of them could think of any scourge god or anything evil, anything in that pool that had the name with the letter C in it. Unfortunately, they didn't roll. They couldn't roll. They rolled not great. Couldn't learn anything. Jumping back to the tavern. Carrying on with the decoding. They learned there were more mentions of the Avant and mentions of a character called the Eye. Specifically a line that said, "The Eye has delivered the papers to Tequila. The plan is now in motion. Do not relish working with the Defiant, but their skills and abilities are useful. And Ardiat is a powerful weapon. And mentions of Portmore and remove the Avant." Bjorn racks his brains yet again and is able to think, oh, the name Ardiat. Oh, that's the name of a very powerful ancient red dragon. It lives in an area of the wastes called the Thaw, which is far east of Zephyr, the Andvari monks. So that's who Ardiat is. And then upon hearing the name, the Eye, Ariadne goes, ah, shit. Tells the party that when she was in Mentura, where she met the party, she was with her troupe of dancers, entertaining the various nobles and the high in society. And when she was there, she came across this individual who charmed her, said, "Oh, you're very acrobatic, very skillful. Oh, I bet you couldn't go into this room of this house and get me these papers." Ariadne thought, "Oh, this is a challenge. This is a bit of fun." Went off and did it, and gave these papers to this individual who called themselves the Eye. And Ariadne went, "Ah, shit. I think I know what that's about, guys." And says, she realized that whenever she gave the papers and this fella just kind of disappeared and she was left to think about what had just happened, she was like, I probably did a bad thing there. Hagrid, I should have done that. I should not have done that moment. And tried to assuage her guilt, found the scallybags, thought, these are the people I could help. Has been trying to, assuage her guilt and block it from her mind, but is now having to confront what she did. At the party, well, these things happen, but at least now we know. And we jumped back to team outside. So Achilles and Lowe, both of them, looking at this lapel pin going, I don't know what the fuck this means, but we have it now. You go around the corner. And at this point, they can see Doyle, the conversation with Doyle and the Thrains is wrapped up. He's saying his goodbyes. Him and the crew head off through the crowd and go back, or beginning to make their way back to the docks. Brief moment of what the fuck do we do? Achilles and Lowe are kind of a moment of decision, what do we do? Achilles turns to Lowe and says, run like hell, get to the ship, see if you can stop it. and Lowe takes off, headline sprints, and makes it to the docks in very good time. Gets to the docks, gets to the little area where Doyle's ship is, clambers up onto a rooftop, gets himself out of sight, and casts Liamon's tiny hut. A ritual casts it, so he blends in with the rooftop so he doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. And right as he does that, a number of crew appear from the town, and things are a bit loosey-goosey with the timeline at this point. I'm kind of trying to play things by ear, but the ship kind of is getting ready to leave. So around seeing the ship get ready to leave, Lowe casts heat metal on the anchor, which definitely distracts the crew, and he's trying to keep them in place and slow them down. So while Lowe is doing that, Achilles sees Doyle leave, and then bolts over to the Thrains. Desmond, delighted that he is his new friend, and goes, Achilles, good to see you. How? Oh, what's wrong? Picks up on the stress immediately, because at this point Achilles he's stressed, he's worried, he knows something's wrong, but he can't quite prove it. So Achilles then says to Doyle, pleading almost, I need you to do something. I need you to find a way to stop Doyle. I go, what are you on about? And Conrad, the nobles pick up on this, and kind of this little school circle forms. And go, what the hell's going on? I think Doyle's fleeing from someone. What's he fleeing from? Me. And Achilles bolts, takes off, and gives chase to Doyle, leaving the Thrains confused, worried, not sure what the fuck's going on. That's like, okay, we have to stop Doyle. Yeah, so they're confused at the moment, not sure what to do. We then cut back to the tavern for one final reveal. One last reveal for that session, which is the following line. Insert the Emerald as leader. And that's where we wrapped up the session. So things are definitely tense. There's a lot of information, a lot of lore. There's still one more thing to come from the letter. But the next session will pick up with Achilles going after Doyle. We'll get the last line of the letter. And we'll see what the party can do, if they can do anything on that side to stop Doyle or whatever they want to do. Things are getting really tense. It's really, really fun. And I'm making sure my notes are in good order because I don't want to fuck this up. But I'm really enjoying it. Adventures, I hope you are too. Any questions, anything else, of course, fire something in the comments if you have any questions or whatever else you want to ask me. And thank you for sticking with me, adventurers. I'm really enjoying this. I hope you guys are too. And until next time, adventures, see ya.